Welcome to SORMAG's Writers Cafe, where we share the real writer's life over a cup of friendship, sprinkled with laughter and wisdom. My name is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I am your host for today. This episode's sponsor, Building Your Readership by LaShaunda Hoffman, a new Kindle Vella book. Are you ready to become a social butterfly? Inside this new episode book, LaShaunda shares 10 ways to start building your readership, increasing your book sales as you learn how to be consistent with your book promotion. Each episode includes an action steps to implement to help you become a social butterfly. Check the show notes for the link. Sitting at the cafe today is Miss Sharon Blount, Jon Bradbury, and Cherie Postill. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you all here today.
Hi, LaShaunda. How you doing?
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Of course, we go in alphabetical order, so guess who goes first?
Oh.
Miss Sharon Blount. Welcome, Sharon. Sharon came on the podcast before, but she was as a book promoter, a book event person, and today we get to talk to her as an author, and I'm super excited for her because she is such a great author, and she is here to share with us about her newest book. So hello, Sharon. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me tonight. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Hello?
I'm on mute, sorry.
Yes,
Tell us who you are and what you write, and give us a little sneak peek into one of your books. Thanks.
Okay. My name is Sharon Blount. What was the other part? I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm nervous.
Tell us who you are. What do you do? What do you
write? There we go. Okay, my name is Sharon Blount. Besides being an author, I design book covers. I do websites. I run a book club called Building Relationships Around Books. I'm a mother to a beautiful son named Andrew. He is my autism warrior. I write romantic comedy. I love writing, and I love making people laugh. So that's a little bit about me. And I live in Georgia right now. I'm originally from California.
Oh, wow, you're a West Coast transplant.
Yes, I miss home. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said, did you like to read an excerpt of your story?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is my latest book. Is called Mocha Kisses. It's a part of a series called Java City series. This is the second book. The first book is called Espresso Served with Love. So this is the second book to the series. I think I said the title, but I'll say it one more time. Mocha Kisses. And the excerpt I'm going to read to get you guys a little bit about it. It's like a ladies' night. You get your friends together and you guys have a conversation. It gets spicy, it gets hot, and just sitting back having a good time with your friends and gossiping and getting advice from your good friends. And so this is Cheryl. She's the heroine of the book, and it's her ladies' night with her friends. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading from a paperback because you don't hear papers rustling. All right. Again, this is Cheryl Collier. That's the heroine. Okay, here we go. It's been a few weeks since the good doctor and his cousin rolled into town, and Java City hasn't been the same. I hear mothers are dressing up, bringing their kids who aren't even sick to the doctor's office just to be seen. That shouldn't surprise me, given that that man makes me. Sorry. That man makes me want to drop my panties every time I see him. I'm so dang bad. My tongue gets stuck to the roof of my mouth when I'm around him, and the only thing I seem to find to talk about is his cousin Ashley or the news. how sad is that? Well, tonight the ladies are coming over, and I will surely ask for some advice. I pray it's some information I can use and not go to jail for. I love my girls, but sometimes I do question their sanity. I think, I have to sneeze. I think insanity may be in the green lace bloodline, being that my only friends are related to them. Avery and Vandross are sister. Nicole is their cousin, and Kiana has been in the family since she was a baby. Our parents are best friends who met in college, so she's practically family and highly influenced by the Green Lace girls. Marion's new to our little crew, but hell if she doesn't fit in with us. She grew up in Java City and was homeschooled. Her mother kept her close at all times. We became close a couple of months ago after her mother became ill. She needed some support, and we all rallied around her. I instructed everyone but Kiana to bring a dish tonight. She's regulated to just bring drinks and paper plates. That girl can't cook for anything in the world. If she ever gets a man, he better be the one doing the cooking. Hey, Cheryl, we are here. We're ready to get our eat on, girl, Avery yells as she opens the front door. She has a key to my home, and I have one to hers. But after catching her granny getting it on the countertops, honey, I call first before going over to anyone's house these days. I'm in the dining room, ladies. Come on in and lock the door back. Java City is a safe place, but there's nothing wrong with me locking up. I almost spit out my soda when I see Vandross. I haven't seen much of her in a while. I assumed she wouldn't be coming tonight. She's been wilding out, and lately her moods have been unpredictable. I look at Nicole and I stare at her. God, I hope they don't start fighting tonight like they did last time they were together. It got hideous between them. I don't want to have to break them up again. Don't look so spooked, Nicole says. We aren't going to start anything. We called a truce while we are here in your home tonight. But all bets are off tomorrow. She strolls over to me and gives me a great big old hug and whispers in my ear, if she gets out of line, I'm going to whoop that ass. I knew it. Anyways, I brought my famous spaghetti. She knows I have a weakness for her spaghetti. Great. I made some chicken salad, and that will go well with it. Hey, Van, how are you doing? I ask with hesitation. Hey, Cheryl, I'm doing better. Thanks for asking and inviting me over. I made some oatmeal and peanut butter cookies for dessert, and I brought some wine. Good to hear, girl. Come on in and sit down. Bestie, I made some stuffed bell peppers. You are looking all cute in those jeans, filling them out. Girl, what you been eating? You're getting all thick on us, Avery says. I wasn't going to say anything, but your ass is spreading. I told you. Marion fits right in with us. Girl, hush. What did you bring? I'm speaking nothing but facts. I brought garlic sourdough bread. That sounds good. If you need to put it in the oven, go right ahead and do it. You know how to use it. Hey, Kiana, girl, you're looking good. You're looking cute. Looking too cute with your new pixie cut. What is that in your hand? I asked, looking nervous and pointing to the big green dish she's holding. Oh, God, please don't let this girl have cooked anything for us. I made some potato salad, Kiana cheerfully announces. Oh, hell no. I'm not eating it, Nicole barked. Wait, don't worry. I followed the rules this time, Kiana tries to reassure us. Rules? We all say at the same time, yep, we're going to die. Sweet baby Jesus, there aren't any rules when it comes to cooking, girl. They are called directions, I say. Same thing to me. Didn't I tell you just to bring plates and drinks, no more food? Yes, but I wanted to contribute. I can't wait until you taste it and tell me what you think. Kiana hands over the dish to me, and immediately an offensive smell strikes my nose. What did you make? I asked, trying not to breathe in too hard. I made potato salad, she repeats, and placed the dish down on the table, wondering why potato salad smells like that. Why in the hell does it smell like death warmed over? Marion asked. It doesn't smell. Yes, it does, girl. What did you put in it? Avery chimes in. She's so scary, never wants to tell Kiana her food is nasty. I use mayonnaise, mustard, relish, olives, eggs, and paprika. Kiana says proudly, I took it out the refrigerator this morning and put it in the car so I wouldn't forget it tonight. Hold up. What do you mean you took it out this morning? Are you trying to tell me or tell us that you let potato salad sit in your car for hours in triple-digit heat? Marion asked. We all look at Kiana praying. She says no. Yes, there's nothing wrong with warm potato salad. Remind me to take you off my insurance policy because I know you are trying to kill us for the money. My advice for all of you, if she's on your policy, take her ass off right now because she's trying to have us 6 feet deep, Nicole says. I'm speechless. Again, sweet baby Jesus. I can't believe she did that. I walk over to the table, contemplating how to get rid of the dish. There's no way I'm eating it or even opening it. I'm throwing it out, even if it hurts her feelings. Before I can, Kiana skips over to the table and says, Here, let me take a bite and prove to you all that it's good. I tasted it earlier. We can't get the words out fast enough before she uncovers the dish and it explodes everywhere. The lady starts screeching and screaming, and all hell breaks loose. The next thing I know, a piece hits me in my mouth, another piece lands in my face, and everything goes black. And that is the end of the excerpt of Mocha Kisses.
Wow, sounds like someone doesn't know how to cook.
I'm so glad I was on mute.
Oh, my gosh, I was laughing. I know that. Laugh out loud. I kept saying,
I am so hard.
I'm cracking up. That is so cute. Loving that.
Oh, thank you.
I have to tell you about a potato salad story we had at church when some people came out of town and sent them home sick as a dog.
Oh, people, you got to be careful where you
Our pastor warned us to never, ever serve potato salad ever again in that church.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you cannot leave potato salad sitting out. And if you put some onions in there, you really can't let it sit out.
Or can't.
No. Oh, my God, it exploded. That just was hilarious.
I'm happy.
Great stuff. That was hilarious.
Thank
okay.
you.
Mr. John, you want to go up next?
Yeah, my name is Jon Bradbury, and I am I've been a published author now since about 2004, when my first novel came out. It was called Colorblind, and I originally became known, I guess, for writing interracial romances of white man, black woman kind of thing, and But in recent years, I've kind of branched out into time travel type stories, and I'm going to read a short excerpt from my one of my newer books. It's called oh gosh, I just lost it. It's called Date with Destiny, Ends of Time, Book 1. And so this is just going to be a short excerpt. It's from the prologue. Prologue, This Old House. Mist began to swirl around my legs as I stepped out onto thick, overgrown grass. Thanks to the mist, I nearly bumped into the gate, set in a wall made of brick. The gate itself was made of wrought iron, closed with a heavy iron bar. Beyond the gate, a path laid with stones and bordered with a stone railing disappeared into the mist. Then I saw the house, more like a mansion or manor, clearly abandoned. It was 2 stories tall in some sections, with ivy climbing up the walls. A thoroughly creepy, old, abandoned house, and I had to go in. She was here. I could feel her presence. I could feel the reverberations of her psyche like ripples in a pond when a raindrop hits the water, or when a deer feels the wolf's presence. I should have shifted myself, but for the time being I needed to remain in human form. I had hunted Tasha across the ends of time. I had her cornered with nowhere to run, but at this moment I hesitated, resting my hand on the old wrought iron gate. The reasons for my hesitation were real and valid. Tasha was a spirit of darkness and evil. Night was when she was the most powerful. As a spirit of evil, while not all of her powers were explicitly meant for hunting, stalking, and killing, they could still be used for distraction and were just as bad. Behind me, the sun was setting, about to dip below the horizon like a molten coin. Ahead of me, the moon was just starting to rise over the horizon like a bright silver coin of its own. With a jolt of terror, I realized it was a full moon. If I wasn't careful, I would have to defend myself against other dangers besides those that fed on human blood. Where there was a vampire, there was always a werewolf. They tended to operate in pairs, more dangerous together than separately if they weren't at each other's throats. Cough, sorry, bad joke. The night was already quiet. Usually the crickets were singing their song, but not even the crickets were chirping. Only the whisper of the breeze disturbed my contemplation of this apparently simple gate. I was feeling confident, not foolishly so. I had various weapons with me. Some I wore on my person in the form of short swords. Others I carried in a knapsack, the strap of which I had slung over my shoulders. Still others could be employed through hands or mind. I knew how to use all of them without thinking consciously. However, I hesitated, and while I had some reasons, I didn't know why. Regardless of the reason, my target was close at hand, and she wouldn't kill herself unless it was to walk right out into the brand new dawn, which was now on the other side of night. The gate creaked as I pushed it open. And that's the excerpt.
All right. Thank you. You ready, Miss Cherie?
Hey there, how are you? I love that. That was intriguing. As soon as he said I could sense her presence, or she, I was like, ooh, I want to read that. I want to hear that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, why did he stop?
I know. I was getting a little creepy. I love those. It just sounds like a fun story that he's doing. But hey there, yeah, Cherie Postill. I am on the board of the St. Louis Writers Guild. I'm a member of the Saturday Writers. I'm also an active member of the St. Louis Publishers Association. My passion is writing middle grade. I love to write for young readers. I also have a very strong marketing background. So I started writing my first novel, and it was a middle grade sci-fi. It is a middle grade sci-fi adventure. And I went out to market it, and I found out some very interesting things. Of course, my background kicked in. One of the things I found out was a common thread amongst my writing community, the people I love the most, which is writers. And the problem was, one of the top 3 reasons that all of these beautiful manuscripts were being rejected, and that my friends and a lot of indie authors were not selling books that well, was because of underdeveloped writing. And yet I wasn't hearing about it, and I spent many years going to conferences and workshops, and I wanted to become the best writer I could. And I really had no intention of ever publishing anything nonfiction, but I created my own method of beta testing. To me, that was just a very natural progression of a product. I was in marketing for so long. that any product that was introduced was beta tested. It just made sense. It wasn't even an option. It was just an absolute, it just had to be done to find out if the audience that your product was intended for would love your product, because it didn't matter if I liked it or if other people liked it. The audience was important, the target market. So I developed my own system over a couple years and created a beta reader test kit, and it worked beautifully. And then the writing community said, oh, Cherie, you've got to share this with people. And I definitely wanted to play it forward and give back, because whenever I ever need anything, the writing community has been one of the most generous places I've ever worked. And they've always been there and answered my questions. So I said, yeah, I'll do this. So I wrote a book, How to Train a Beta Reader and Sell More Books. It's available on Amazon. It's a really interesting, fun, comprehensive marketing system to, once you're finished with your manuscript, do not publish too early. Do not let underdeveloped writing squelch your authorship. I see writers that never get past this. And really, and when I say that, it's just a matter of this. It's been written, the story's good, but you put it out there and you make sure it's the best it can be. When I was beta testing products in corporate America, if we were testing ice cream, or let's say, here's a good example. We have a sugary cereal for kids, and we're working with maybe, say, a Kellogg's. We're not going to beta test it with adults. We don't really care if mom and dad like it. Now, our marketing is going to be geared toward adults because we know they're the buyers, but we have to know if our target market loves our cereal. So what do? You guys remember all those packages that used to come in the mail with all those product samples? There was millions of dollars put into that, and there's a reason, because we wanted to know we needed a beta test. It's done with a lot of software. You're probably familiar with that. Software games are often beta tested. So that's what I did when I put that product out there, and I encourage people to go to my website, because one of the things that authors do that they really need to stop is they need to ask the right questions. Can't tell you how many times somebody would hand me a manuscript, or I hear authors doing this all the time, and they say, let me know what you think. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. Nothing. Because I give it back and say, yeah, it was all right. I mean, we wait and we wait and we wait to hear about the feedback, and then what we get is, well, yeah, I thought it was really good. There's nowhere for me to go with that. That's not a critique. So I train authors how to ask the right questions whenever they hand their manuscript to anybody for any type of a critique or opinion, because it's not worth anything if you don't ask the right questions to get the right answers back. And it's a really cool process. It's easy to use. And like I said, my website, you can go there and you can get a free download of a questionnaire, a beta reader questionnaire, and you customize that to your genre. It's so fun because it asks questions like, were you hooked in the first 5 pages? Was there anywhere you stopped in my manuscript because you were confused? Did anything not make sense? And I can give you some examples of this. Things like, okay, I don't know a lot about weaponry, but my husband does critiquing of manuscripts and other people, and I love to read thrillers, and if there's FBI or cops in it, I'm excited. So we had this one scene where the protagonist pulls out his gun, and it's a Glock. He pulls out his Glock. It's a police-issued Glock. And he snaps off the safety and shoots at the bad guy. The problem, ladies and gentlemen, is there's no safety on a Glock. So if you have really avid readers, you may lose them there, and they may lose credibility. So it's little things like that that beta readers can do for us. And so that's what I did. I'd rather talk about my mid-grade, so if we get time, I can tell you a ton about. I'd love to read an excerpt from one of my middle grade. It's a mid-grade humor contemporary that I just finished, and I'm in the process now of beta testing it. So anyway, that's me in a nutshell.
You can read an excerpt if you want. Go ahead.
Okay, I need to pull it up, so if you want to just talk something else real quick, I'll pull it up.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because I'm really having fun with this mid-grade, and it's a challenge for me because I've never written in first person. I completed a novel that is, typical close personal, but it's a third person, and it's a first-person narrative. So, do any of you write in first person?
Oh, I write in first person all the time.
I do too.
Okay, and you enjoy that? Okay, because I really am enjoying it.
Yeah, I love first person.
Yeah, my middle grade books are first person. It's the first time I've ever written in it, so it's interesting. I will say that Cherie's book is one that you should definitely put in your library if you are an author and you want to learn about beta readers. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it. I tell all new authors to get it because that's the one step that we skip when it comes to if you're going to indie publish your book, is that beta reader, having somebody to read your book before it goes, I would say before it goes to the editor, because you want to get all that stuff right before you send it to the editor. Are you going to, if you do it after the editor, then you got to do all those corrections. So I would say
yes. Oh, I definitely recommend doing it before you edit the book because some of the beta readers give incredible information. They will give you feedback. They'll help you strengthen your characters. They can find little plot holes in your story. Some of them they can even make great suggestions. And one of the really valuable things with the beta reader is, how did you feel at the end of my book? What did you think about the ending? And that gives you a great idea of how they ended it. Did they want more? Were they satisfied? So, yeah, beta readers to me are one of the most valuable tools, and it's just something that is not a part of the mainstream information in the writers community. It's kind of missed out on. And yet, you know what? Best-selling authors, almost all of them, they use beta readers. If you ask,
their super fans are usually their beta readers.
And that's right. They have set the beta readers.
I was a beta reader for many years. It wasn't called that, but I got that first advanced copy before it went out, and you'd be already excited about it, and you talk about it, and you give feedback from it. So that's been in the years, but a lot of the indie authors miss that because we don't really talk about it. And what I love about Cherie's book is she gives you questions, and that's I think the step. Most people give their book to somebody to read, but they don't ask them the right questions, like she said. You don't ask the right questions. I remember getting books and people would just give me the book, and I would say, "What do you want to know?" "Oh, just read it." No, you want to know. Like one of the questions I love is what chapter did you stop reading at? That's if you stop reading at chapter 1, that's not good. You want to be maybe chapter 8, chapter 9, because you got to go to bed. If it's a really good book, then you're like, I didn't finish. I stayed up all night. I had to finish it. So you want to know. That's a very important question because when it comes to a book, you don't want them to stop too early. You don't want them to stop at all, but you want to know what made them stop. So that's a good question.
Yeah, I always say to people, you can't fix what you don't know is broken. And so you can go to an editor, you can go to a lot of really good, wonderful literary people, and their services aren't free, but they're well worth what you pay. And they can definitely tell you whether your writing is good. They can tell you whether it's a good quality, whether you've hit the craft well. But only a beta reader can tell you if your story works. And I needed to know, after I wrote my first manuscript, I needed to know if my story was broken, because people want stories. You can be the most brilliant writer in the world, and the prose can be brilliant, but if there's no story there, it's not going to work.
Right.
You can fix a lot of editing, but you can't fix a broken story. So that's what your beta readers do, and it is something that I encourage all writers to go out there and beta test your manuscript before you put it out, because it is, like I said, it's one of the top 3 reasons that manuscripts are rejected and books don't sell that well, is because they just didn't do that last little bit of polishing to make sure they were good for their beta readers. So,
I was just about to say that's I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and sometimes that stands me in good stead. Like checking, I'm a stickler for small details, and I'll research it to the ends of the earth just about to make sure that some small minor point is correct. I'm just strange that way. I'm definitely a bit of a perfectionist, so I can understand what that you should always cross your T's and dot your I's for no other reason than to make sure you got your ducks in a row.
Yeah, and your beta readers aren't really editors. In fact, we discourage them from doing any kind of editing. You want to know emotion from your beta readers. How did this make you feel? Here's a great example. A girlfriend of mine writes really good horror stories. And in our beta questionnaire, one of our questions is, Where did you stop to turn on the lights?
Oh.
Beta readers love those kind of questions. One of our other questions was, when did you stop to lock the doors? Okay? And we put these questions out to our beta readers when we give them the manuscripts. We tell them to put the questions away. Read through them twice, put them away. We're planting the seeds so that as they read with a pencil in their hand, making notes in your manuscript, they're going to think about these questions as they go along. But it's not an open book test. We don't want to go back and forth answering questions. We just want them to understand what we're looking for as an author. Beta readers have absolutely no idea what authors need. And that's a funny assumption that authors make. And I think to myself, and I've actually asked authors, what makes you think that just because Aunt Mary reads 40 thrillers a year, that she knows what you need to know about your book? And then, well, she reads a lot. Well, yeah, and she reads thrillers. Perfect. You've hit your target. You've got somebody that's got the experience to do your book. But if you don't tell her what you need, she's going to read it, give it back to you, and say, hey, I really liked it, or it was all right. Well, what wasn't perfect about it? Well, I've read other thrillers that did different things, or how. You're not going to get any usable critique points. And that's what you need. I get great critique points from my writers when I ask them if anything surprised them, if anything confused them. Trying to think of some examples in my own book that people picked out. Like occasionally, okay, here's one thing that I do. I'll say, one character will say to another character, okay, meet me at 11 o'clock tonight in your room, and we're going to discuss this. Well, then I forget, or through editing I lose that thread. And so a good beta reader is going to pick it out and say, hey, character number 1 never met character number 2. And I'm going, you're right. And then I write it in there. So beta readers are more about the story, the experience. We're not looking for them to give us a lot of detailed professional information. We don't expect that from them. Ideally, a beta reader is not in our field. They're not an agent, they're not an editor, and they're not a writer. They're the best beta readers you can get. But ideally, they've read a lot of your genre.
Yeah. Know what I found out with using beta readers, too? Making sure they're not necessarily your friend, that, not afraid to tell you this is horrible or this is good. You want to make sure you get a great beta reader that's going to really tell you what's working and what's not working.
That is so true, because
I found out
it's okay.
Yeah, that's what happened. I had 3 other beta readers. They were all friends. Oh, it's good. No one had said nothing, and I'm like, So then I had to go outside of that and just outside of friends, and I need these kind of beta readers who are not afraid to say this works and this doesn't. You really have to be careful, because otherwise you're not going to get any good feedback that you need to make your story get better.
Good point.
Yeah, that's why the questions help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you just give them the book to read, they're just going to read it. But if you got specific questions that you need to know, then you do that. I just told a friend that. She was like, my friend read the book and she didn't tell me anything. And I said, well, what did you ask her? What is it that you wanted to know? And she's like, I was like, What is it that you want to know? Because she wanted to know, like you said, if the story works, but the reader doesn't know that's what you want to know. So you have to, explain it a little better to them. So, yeah.
It's like asking someone to meet you somewhere and not giving them a map and not telling them where it is.
Oh, right.
Or how do you,
that's true.
Because otherwise, if I don't know where I'm going, how can I ever give you the information that you need? So we get some good information. The betas. Yeah. And, it's not all, and I always want to say this, I always have to put this caveat. This is not about criticism. This is not about everything that's bad. Beta readers, there's nothing more exciting than opening your manuscript and seeing that you've been validated, where somebody writes LOL, and you're going, yes, that's exactly where they should have left. Or they say, I cried here. Or they say, this is exactly where, or this character made me so mad I wanted to strangle them. I get notes in my manuscript from kids like, if you kill this character, I'm never going to talk to you again. Or if these 2 characters don't get together, because I'm writing for kids, if these 2 characters don't get together, then you're not writing the right story. Because they're so into the character, they want to make sure. So, yeah, it's a lot of validation, too. There's a lot of good things that come out of it, and you know that you've done a good job. So it's not just about things that you need to fix. So I would like to make sure I say that. I don't want it to sound like it's all negative.
Mm-hmm.
I've never taken it, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I've never taken it as a negative for me, even when they say something is not working. It's good constructive criticism to make I always feel like when someone is beta reading and they give you constructive criticism, all it does is make you a better writer and which areas to do good. So I don't think it's negative.
I'm applauding you right here. Because, and it depends on where you're at in the writing journey. When you're very new, writers are much more sensitive. And I always use the example of if you've ever raised children, or if you're a teacher or you know teachers, you're always, the younger the student, the more difficult the parents have at accepting certain things. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on where the parents are. By the third child, we're going at the teacher going, yeah, I know they're doing that. Let's just take care. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, pick up the pacifier, shove it in their mouth, and move on. So it's fun to look at it that way, because the more experience the writer has, the more they understand that feedback is probably the fastest way to improve your writing. So thank you so much for saying that. You're right.
Oh, thank you.
No. But you're right. I love it.
Do you want to read your excerpt, or you want to go on?
Okay, I will read. The name of my book is Mediocre, Mayhem at the Middle School. And it's designed and written for young readers between the ages of 9 and 13. It's a mid-grade contemporary humor. Chapter 1 the title is Grady. My name's Grady. I go to Mediocre Middle School. I know Mediocre's a weird name, but it's the name of our town, too. Don't ask, just go with it. I turned 12 last week and got a Kick-Butt Valve Index virtual reality kit for my birthday. But that doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters anymore. I decided to start a journal, because I'll probably be dead before my 13th birthday. I figure I can at least leave something behind, and all I have is my story. We're actually kind of in the middle of the beginning, and since I hate to write anyhow, I'm starting right here. I know you're smart enough to catch up, and I hope I live long enough to finish. You're wondering who I am, so I'll give you the short version. I live with my dad in a 4,217 square foot, 3-story Queen Anne Victorian house just off the campus of Ordinary University, named after the first dean, Indarius Maynard Ordinary. The polished granite sign on that front of the lawn reads, "Welcome to I Am Ordinary University." Established August 12th, 1927. We have 6 staircases and 4 landings. That's 102 steps, not counting the steps to the basement or the 9 steps from the sidewalk to our front door. 7 moldy stairs lead down into the root cellar. I think there used to be 8, but 1 disintegrated long before I got there. Yeah, I know, that's a lot of room for 2 people. It got a whole lot smaller 87 days ago when my new stepsister Claire moved in. I had no idea a skinny, 4-foot, 9-inch, freckle-faced redhead could be so big. You know how some things are just understood without saying them out loud? Well, everyone knows, unless you have an invitation, my treehouse is off limits. But there we were, 18 feet, 7.5 inches above street level, talking about some pretty weird stuff. Claire and I had a panoramic view of the whole neighborhood. The giant oaks lining our street stood like infantry soldiers, and the 80-foot sycamores growing near the creek provided a challenge. But I had it worked out. If anyone tried to sneak up, we'd know it before they were within a block of my treehouse, thanks to a network of motion detectors and strategically placed mini-cams. 2 doors down, I spotted old chompers chasing Princess the deaf cat. The ancient rock and roll music blaring from the house next door drowned out the sound of traffic from the highway, and the smell of a barbecue coming from the Smith's backyard was making me hungry. I can hear the rhythmic thumping of a basketball meeting the pavement, Mrs. Saint screeching at poor Mr. Saint about something that he did wrong, and the hum of lawnmowers. Alice Kiswell sucking face with her latest boyfriend on her front porch. All is well. "You don't want me up here, do you?" Claire kept her back to me and continued to keep watch on the neighborhood. The question surprised me. I wasn't sure how to answer it, so I didn't. "You know I had no choice, right?" "What?" It came out like a weak cough. "It's not like I had a choice. I had to come here and stay with my mom. My 2 brothers had a choice. They're living with my dad. Don't worry about it. My parents will figure out what a stupid mistake they made and get back together. And when they do, We'll be out of here. No offense. My dad and I can get back to normal, too. No offense. It's not like anyone asked me what I wanted. So we're good? Claire crossed her arms over her chest and glanced at me. Sure, we're good. It was nice to know we agreed on something. Your treehouse is amazing, by the way. That's 2 things we agree on now, I thought. You should see the next level in the crow's nest. I pointed to the retractable steps huddled against the ceiling. Claire's right. I hate to brag, but it's true. My treehouse is extreme. It has 9 windows, 2 doors, 5 exterior cameras, a loft, and a 10-by-12 observation deck. The way Claire stared at the steps, I could tell she hadn't noticed them until I pointed them out. You can only get up there with a 2-step security code that requires a fingerprint and a 14-digit code using numbers, lower and uppercase letters, symbols, and spaces, I said proudly. It would take over 200 years to get my password and release those steps. She took a few steps closer to get a better look. Great. What if you forget the password? She shook her head and went back to the window. Without turning, she asked, what's up there that's so important? A computer, some drones, some spare parts, some books, but mostly spy stuff. Claire grinned. Spy stuff? I felt my cheeks heating up and my stomach knotted tighter than a wet rope. Why didn't I say surveillance stuff? I made sure not to meet her eyes, and I pretended that I didn't hear her. We haven't tried the FBI, she blurted out. Claire kept her eyes riveted on the mayor's house across the street and well-whispered over her shoulder. What makes you think the FBI will listen? No one else will. She spun like a Tazon warrior after being hit with a level 3 blaster in a Dragon's Revenge game. The pen cap she was chewing was down to a nib. I don't know how she can see with her eyes scrunched so tight. There's no way my mom and dad are going to believe me, and every teacher I know would give me a detention for making up stories. The cops said we're over-imaginative kids who play too many video games. She stomped her right foot hard enough to knock 2 pencils off the table. Claire's the one with the active imagination, by the way. My father and Claire's mom blame me for encouraging her. Like that's a bad thing? At least I pay attention to her now. And I'll just stop there. That's just part of the first chapter.
OMG, that was, I laughed out loud.
I like that.
It was very intriguing. I want to go to the tree house.
Me too. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to climb up and see what it's all about.
And there's a bully, and there's, it's just that they go to school, and there's just lots of fun adventures, because when I write for middle grade, I am not writing to teach. I'm writing for them to have fun. I want to write something that's going to make them laugh, and that ends well, that has adventures and a little bit of spy stuff. Yeah, okay, so they have a little bit of, mischief in the book, but it's wonderful and it's fun. So that's what I'm hoping. So that's what I'm querying right now is my middle grade. I may self-publish, I may indie publish, but for now I'm looking for somebody that I can, and I already have ideas for the second book, so that's always fun.
Mhm. I don't see why that wouldn't sell. It was that first chapter that grabbed you, so I think that was good. I would have read it as a kid.
Well, LaShaunda was one of my inspirations as I was writing this book. She doesn't even realize it. We talk frequently enough, and she's so much fun to talk to. And she would make comments about the books that she read when she was a kid. We would talk about the series that the two of us have read and how important it was, she would say to me, that I just had fun reading them. And so the whole time I'm writing Mediocre, I'm thinking about people like LaShaunda and all the kids out there that just want to sit down and read something fun. Right. They don't want to learn another lesson. They don't want to be preached to. And I have to admit, I have to admit there's an underlying theme. It's not hit on real heavy, but Grady's mom died, so he's still mourning her. So there's a couple scenes in the book where he has moments where he misses his mom, and Claire really doesn't want to accept the fact that her parents are divorced.
Yeah, I was about to say that because you said they were getting back together. I'm like, nah, she done moved in the other house, right?
I caught on to that too. I'm like, wait a minute.
Like they're getting back together. I'm like, if she moved in, either they're dating or they're married.
That was her parents. That's his stepsister, so just moved in. And she says to him, don't worry about, my parents are going to figure this out, right? So she's kind of holding on to that idea that they're going to make it, and they're going to figure out what a mistake they made.
My goodness, denial.
Total denial.
Wishful thinking.
They got married. If you're a step kid, they're not getting back together.
I love it.
That's funny.
And there's a few serious scenes in the book, but for the most part, it's pretty light. I mean, my gosh, the Navy SEALs are in on it. There's earthquakes. There's, cantankerous cats and dogs with a grudge, and yeah.
Yeah, that's real life.
That's what I kind of set out to do when I wrote Ends of Time, Date with Destiny, is that I just wanted to write a fun story. I didn't want to write anything too terribly heavy. I just wanted to. It's kind of a genre mashup, if you will. It's all about time traveling vampire hunters, as you may have divined from the short excerpt that I read. But yeah, it's like, for those of you who might want to read it in the future, yeah, it's kind of a genre mashup a little bit, but it works surprisingly well, actually. But like I said, I just wanted to write a fun story that didn't take itself too seriously, that kind of thing.
There's nothing wrong with fun stories.
I think that's the best part when you read.
Yeah, I love
something to make you laugh, because some things can really make you cry, but it's not often that a book can just make you laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about your writing, Sharon, is I'm laughing out loud. This is the thing when you giggle, but when you go, oh my God, and you have to stop, put the book down, and crack up a little bit more, and then pick it back up. Those are the best books ever. I just posted something the other day. What was the last book to make you giggle? Not many books make you giggle, so I love a good giggling book.
Yeah.
It's not easy to write a book that makes you laugh, but when she said, what the hell is wrong with that potato salad? Yeah. I'm cracking up. I'm going, yeah, really, what is wrong with it?
I'm so glad I'm on mute, because I would be in trouble. I'm over here cracking up. I'm like, oh, my God. All right, so my first question for you guys, look, we're almost done. I haven't even asked y'all one question. What has surprised you most about being a published author?
Who goes first?
Whoever wants to.
The amount of work that it takes, the time, and the amount of... you get the book written, and it takes months and months, if not years, and then you put it out there, and you don't get to rest.
No. Nope. You immediately have to go. If it's a series, you immediately have to go and start writing the next one.
You're right, girl. You're right.
Yep. That was surprising to me. Because I can rest for a little bit. And you're like,
Right. No.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you're doing it, I think as an indie author, what you should do is put that rest time in there. Mm-hmm. We're so ready to publish it. Maybe you once it's complete, edited everything, instead of releasing, take 2 months to relax. Because you got to go running as soon as it starts.
Yeah, you really do.
You have to put that into your schedule as a published author, as an indie author, because we don't do that. We put it out, and then we're trying to promote, and then we're trying to write that other book. And you really need time to go, ooh, what the heck? Relax a little bit, massage something, and then you can get ready. Yeah. And I'll recommend maybe writing 3 or 4 chapters before you release the book, and then release the book and go into promotion, and then when you're taking your rest, you're writing, And, but that sounds so wonderful, doesn't it? It sounds so wonderful, but my dog has lost her mind, barking at people outside. Oh, no.
No, that makes sense. I like that. That makes sense. And LaShaunda, I think the one thing that I've always been impressed with what your books, your promotion, and my gosh, your workbooks, just getting this book is worth it, because I think the bottom line, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just create a plan, do what you love about the plan, do a few of the hard things, but follow a plan. Because I think the worst possible thing and the biggest mistake most writers make is not having one.
And I'm making that right now. I don't have
the plan. You need a plan for the whole thing. For writing, you need a plan for writing, and you need a plan for promoting. You need a plan for your business, because now it's a business. A lot of people don't think I just got something about the state taxes. I'm like, hey, I got to do them too. You know, but you have to have a plan for all of that, and when you look at your plan, you can see what worked, what didn't work. You know, when you don't have a plan, you're just willy-nilly. You're just trying different things. I was just telling somebody I'm doing a Kindle novella, and it has been like pulling teeth to get people to read the book. And I'm like, I have to go back into my virtual tea with LaShaunda and go pull out I pulled out my book like, okay, let me go back in here. What can I do? What did I didn't do? Let me try this. Let me try that. You know, because the thing about promotion is you can have a whole plan of stuff you did for this book, and then when you try it for the second book, none of that worked. And so you go right back, you know, you're always creating a new wheel. And I think authors have a hard time for that because they're looking for that red button that they can push and everything will go the right way. You know, I'm like, I am the queen of promotion, but I can't get nobody to come over here and look at this book. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized, okay, you need to go to the people. You got to go to the people. How are you getting in front of those people, the writers? You know, it's a difference with readers. Writers are very hard to convince that they need something. And so I'm like, oh, my God.
What's even harder is convincing them to pay for it.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, Cherie, you know, because you have a book that's for writers, and they're like, you're right. I need it.
I want to learn everything. And I don't know if that comes... That's me because I'm dyslexic, so I know I have some issues. But I want to ingest as much as possible because I want to be the best or be the best I can be as a writer. So I want to know it all.
And that's the key right there, Sharon, is you want to be the best. And so you've already put in your head that you know you got to learn to be the best. Most of these people come out here, they already think they the best. They don't got to learn.
Oh, no.
And you got that. It's that mindset. I tell people all the time, you need that promotion mindset. You need that writer mindset because it's hard when you put a book out and nobody buys it.
Yeah, it hurts.
And you're like, what is wrong with my book? Nobody wants it. And it's hard. I've had that conversation a couple of times myself this month, and I'm like, ugh. You know, but I realized that you got to get in front of people consistently. And so I said, what are you doing? One of my friends, she told me, because I'm crazy and started a boutique selling products, and she's like, so what are you doing every day? Are you putting stuff out every day? And I was like, once a week. And she goes, she's like, LaShaunda. I said, I know, I got to go have virtual tea, don't I? She's like, you told me. I said, I did, didn't I? And so you have to tell yourself over and over again because it's a lot of work. And that's the hardest part that people have. And I know, I'm like, man, I am always in promotion mode. It drives me crazy because I'm like, when does I get a break? So that's why I was saying about taking that break before you put it out there, because you don't. Once it's out there, it doesn't stop. The wheel, you're running. You're like that hamster. You're just on the wheel, running. And you don't get a break. And you take vacation, stuff like that. But I'm just saying, once you start writing and you putting it out there, those readers want more. If this book is good, then they want more. And you're constantly writing. And like you said, it takes you a while to finish a book. So you decide you want to write 2 books a year. So you got to get those books out. You got to write them, and you got to get them out there.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I think a lot of when I first, especially being an indie author, I thought all I have to do is write this book one time, and then the editor takes care of everything, and it's over. No.
Right. No.
You have so many steps and so many things to do. It just doesn't stop right there. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's fulfilling when you get someone who emails you like, this book is good, this is good, or I like it, or things like that. Then it becomes very much worth it and satisfying for me.
Yeah. One of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast is because I wanted mostly the authors who are out there to understand the side that we don't talk about. We talk about how great the book is. Everybody love the book and stuff, but they don't talk about the writing side of it. They don't talk about, I had to be up all night promoting it. I had to fix my website. It went down. It crashed. You don't talk about the life of the writer. We only see the good stuff. Yeah, and the different things you go through, If I tell my people, this Saturday is a writing day, my family look at me like I'm crazy. Writing day, what does that mean? That means I'm going to be in front of the computer. Don't talk to me. Don't say nothing to me. I'm not cooking dinner. We probably might get some pizza, and you don't talk about that. I talk to some people, and they write every day, if they're writing full-time, 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And people don't tell you that part of the stuff that you're going to be right. You want to put out 2 books. You want to put out 4 books, then you're probably writing, oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I don't care if anybody do that.
And that's the thing that, so I want the real life of the writer. So people don't get blindsided by it, or
overwhelmed. You get overwhelmed. When I first started to write, I was overwhelmed. Like, oh, my goodness, what have I gotten into? Maybe this ain't for me, because it really takes a lot of dedication, and you have to really love what you do, because it's not an instant moneymaker either. I think a lot of people don't realize that.
They think they're going to sell 5,000 books. I had somebody tell me that I'm going to sell 5,000 books. I said, 5,000 people?
And that's going to buy it?
That's going to buy it, and she got real quiet. And I said, you got to know 5,000. You got to know 10,000 people. Yeah. Because 5,000 ain't gonna buy.
And that's the truth. And I think for me, I thought, okay, my friends and family is gonna buy my book. No, that doesn't automatically happen. You really are reaching out to people you don't know to read your book, or your family will buy your book and don't read it.
Yeah, right. Those are I call them the support.
Yes.
It's great to get that support. Yep. It's great, but they don't owe you support, so don't worry about it. If your family has never read a romance, don't expect them to buy a romance and read it. Why do you people think that? And then they be upset, mad that their family and their friends didn't read their books. I said, I had a magazine for 20-plus years. I could tell you how many issues that my sisters read.
You can't make people be a fan of something.
Zero.
You're doing it.
Zero. So no. Yeah. So don't expect that. If that's how you're going into business, you're going to be in serious. Now, families will support. Some will.
Yeah.
But that is not your readership.
No, it's
when
not.
You realize that you got to find your readers, because I tell people all the time, you sold 500 books to your friends and family. Now you got to go sell the real books. What does that mean? I said, because they done with you. They ain't buying no more books. You got to go find them other people. Don't nobody buy 3 or 4 copies of the book. They never do. You got to go find new people every day if you want to continue selling. If you're happy with the 500 you sold, then good. Go write the next book and you're fine. But if you plan on selling more books, you're going to have to get past them, because they not finna buy the second book. They was rah-rah to help you, support you, because you finally got that book deal that you wanted. Now you got to go find that real person that's like, oh, you got a new book coming out. I'm so excited. When is it coming? That's who you need. And a lot of people miss that. They mad for life because their family ain't continue to buy all 10 books that they had. Look, you lucky they bought one.
Ain't that the truth? Or didn't ask for a discount.
I got my man mad at me because I told him he told me his cousin wrote romance, and he wasn't talking to her because she wouldn't give him a copy.
Oh, I've had that happen to me too.
I said, why should she give you a copy? Because I'm her cousin. I said, you as her cousin should have bought a copy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not how it works. Yes, it does work. I said, if she gave all her books away, well, how would she make money? Well, she's not going to lose money by giving it to her cousins. I said, well, if she's got 15 cousins, yes, she will.
And it's hard to explain that to people. Me and a friend, he was like, oh, I've been knowing you since before you had your son, and you wanted to write, now you're writing. You can't give me a book. She was so mad. So mad. I'm like, you do know this is what I do for a living, right? You don't even read.
I got to tell you a funny story about that, because we were at a book fair, and the author was complaining about the number of people that always expect you to give them a free copy of your book. So I said, well, let me handle the next one. So this gentleman comes up and he says, and he introduces himself and he says, well, can I get a free copy of the book because I'm such and such and I can review it for you and blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, what do you do for a living? And he says, I'm a painter. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, here's my address. You come over and paint my family room for free, and I'll give you a copy of my book.
Oh.
He never came over and painted my family room.
Oh, I bet he didn't.
Nope, and I didn't give.
Like this lady crazy.
He did not get a free copy of the book. Okay, because it makes people realize, and it really just he laughed like crazy, because he realized what I was saying. I make a living. Instead of looking at somebody and saying, this is the way I make a living, I asked them, well, what do you do for a living? And will you do it for me for free? And they normally they say no. Okay. Like if they work at a car dealership, that's like winning the lottery. Oh, good, I'm going to come get my free car tomorrow.
Lord.
Yeah, so people are funny about that.
Yeah,
but you don't want to give away your work. It's not a good idea to give away your work. And you know what? Let your family and your friends be your cheerleaders. Let them be your support team. Let them tell you how wonderful you are and how amazing your writing is. That's what they're there for. And don't look for anything more, and then you'll never be disappointed.
That's a good way to think of it.
It is. That's great. On my first book signing, all my family showed up. I was in tears because I had a book that was not for them. So I did not think that none of them was going to show up for the book signing because I was like, you're not doing book promotion. And they all bought copies. All of them wanted a copy. Even the married ones didn't want one copy. Each one wanted their own copy. And that just brought me to tears because I was like, oh, but I didn't expect them to come for the book signing because I was like, it's not, they're like, it's not even, you're not even writing the romance you've been talking about for 50 million years. So, but I was thankful that they showed up. I was happy, but I knew they weren't my readership. Yeah. I knew that. I knew none of them are authors, none of them are business owners, so I knew that was not the person, that they were supporting me. They were not going to be on my readership list. They weren't going to be joining my email list, and so I knew that going in. But a lot of people, they have these huge parties and do all these book releases and not sell 2 books at the big launch, and they're upset. And I'm like, people just come to eat. They don't come and buy books.
That's all they can hear.
They're excited. They're excited to see you made your dream come true, but they don't. If it's not something, if they don't read it, they're not buying a book. So don't get your feelings hurt. I will tell people all the time. Oh, it's great to have book launches, but I always tell my clients, do a pre-sale before, and then you'll know if people want to buy the book or not. They bought the book, they'll get their autographed copy when they come to the launch. If you do it just at the launch, don't get upset if nobody buys any books and you take all those books home. So, be prepared for that.
That's true, very true. And you have to know your audience, and you have to go where they're at.
Yeah.
And know how to find them.
That has been my challenge trying to do this Kindle Vella. I was like, you got to go where the writers are. Where are they hanging out at?
I know.
So you gotta, I
know. I've been doing workshops for writing groups all over the country, based on my book. So that's been really helpful, to do that.
And that's what I've been doing too. I said, well, I got to book some more. I got 2 summits booked for this month, and I'm going to do some more things. And I've
excellent.
You got to make time for being where the people are. Right now you can't travel, so if you're looking for readers, where are the readers hanging out at? Are they online? Where are they online? Are you on Facebook? So if you're on Facebook, well, what are you doing on Facebook? And a lot of people just think that, I post one post and that'll be good for the week. Okay. That's not how it. No. It doesn't work that way. You got to be consistent in doing something to get in front of people every day. Because guess what? That other person is doing it and you're not. And when you're not doing it, some other writer is doing it. They're getting all the readers, and you're like, well, how come they got all these readers? Because they're being consistent. Being consistent. And Sharon, you have a group, so
I know. I have no excuse, but I get so nervous when I need to.
Just get in there and just be sharing. You don't have to be about talking about your books. You know, you can share different things. The thing about promotion is it's not always about buy my book. It's about people getting to know you. They get to know Sharon. They get to know you. Can talk about, you know, you writing a book. You could, that potato scene right there. If you don't share that potato salad scene, if they do an excerpt and share that, if they don't laugh and click the buy button, then they don't want a book. You know, but you can take that whole thing you just read an excerpt, read it again, tape it, and post it out there. People need to hear about your stories. They need to know what the story is about. You know, you can have a beautiful cover, but if they don't know what's inside, they're not going to buy it. You know, and so you just have to, you know, be a little bit more sharing. You do some stuff. You're good for that.
I know. I don't know why I'm being so nervous about it.
Because it's yours. When you can promote everybody else, because that's how I was. I understand, because I'm the same way. When it's mine, it's like, it's like you feel like, oh man, I'm being a pest. But you're not. You're not being a pest.
Yeah.
Unless somebody actually tells you that to your face, then you know. Then, but most of the time, people don't say that because they know that's how this system works. If you don't tell anybody, then nobody knows about your book.
Yeah, you know? That's true.
Nobody knows. Man, we had one question, and I don't even think everybody answered it.
And what was the question?
I've been listening to you ladies.
It's just been fun just listening to you guys and talking, and that's what I like. I like to be able to just sit and chat, and you know, we learn from each other.
I really have gotten some great information from both of the other two authors, so thank you guys for sharing.
So I am going to ask you guys to tell us how we can get in touch with you online or offline, and we'll go with Miss Sharon first.
Okay. Well, you can contact me on Facebook. I have a like page. I have a regular Facebook page. It's author Sharon Blount. I also have a book club. You could join. It's called Building Relationships Around Books. I am on Twitter, but I don't know how to use it well. I'm on there at Coffee Brat with 2 T's at the end. So Coffee Brat with 2 T's there. And I am on Instagram, Coffee Brat as well with 1 T. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm only on those. And, again, I'm not really good at Twitter that well. You can also email me at SharonLBlunt@gmail.com. Or you can go to my website. I'm sorry. It's coffeebratpublishing.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Cherie?
Awesome. I was just looking her up. I'm going to go follow her, make sure she's one of the people I follow. My website, you can find me on my website. It's clpostal.com. Just go to clpostal.com. That's C as in cat, L as in Larry. Postal is POSTILL.com. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. I have a Facebook account. So you can find me in all of those different places. You can find my book on Amazon under the title is How to Train a Beta Reader and Sell More Books. I think that's everywhere, right?
I like it. You ready, John?
Yes. You can find me on Facebook. I have my regular page, and I also have a writer page. A public writer page is freelance author Jon Bradbury. Jon spelled Jon. You can also find me on Twitter at Jon B. Novelist. Jon spelled Jon. And I also have my own author website, which badly needs to be updated, but it's bradburyjon.wix.wix / Jon Bradbury Novelist. And Facebook, Twitter, website. I think that about. Oh yeah, my email address is thewriterguy2001@yahoo.com.
Oh, I haven't heard Yahoo in a minute.
Old school, old school.
I've had that email address for ages.
I know, that's why I said old school. That's the old school email.
Around a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just follow both of you on Twitter, so now we'll all be friends.
Well, thank you.
Cool.
I follow LaShaunda, so now I just want to. I love to do that. I love to make sure I'm following the people that, we all support each other. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. That's good. So I want to say thank you to our guests for sharing today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope that you learn a few things from them. I want to thank our sponsor, Building Your Readership by LaShaunda Hoffman. Check the show notes for the link to purchase. You'll also be seeing the links in there for all of their books. I want to thank you, our listeners, for taking time to listen to the podcast. I have 3 questions for you. One, did you learn something from this episode? If you did, please share the podcast with your community. 2, would you like to be a guest for an episode? Contact me at onesormag@gmail.com. And then my last question is, have you promoted your books or business today? If you haven't, go showcase those wings, because someone needs what you have to offer. This is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I will see you on the next.